the Tigers, Nigeria's female basketball side, is now world number 8 in basketball. They enter into the top 10 for the very first time, and this is cheering for Africa. Remember, they are the first African side to get to the quarterfinal stage of world basketball. Kingsley, let's go to tennis now. And tennis, there is a really shocking development coming from Flushing Meadows in New York, where the last Grand Slam of the year, the US Open, is taking place. First, let's look at the first shock that's coming through, and in the female category, where Norca, time champion, crashed out at the competition. Naomi Osaka crashing out, early from this competition. Straight set loss. What do you make of it?
For me, not. I didn't expect that. For Naomi Osaka, I thought she was going to breeze up, and see how she can, take up, take a stand this time around at the U.S. Open. We know it has not been that rosy for her, since she came back, after giving birth to her daughter. It's not been that fantastic at all. It was only, I think, at the Wimbledon where she gave, Iga Swiatek a run for her money, but Swiatek has to come back and got that victory against Naomi Osaka. But since then, she's not been that fantastic. I think she's not really gotten back her form, after coming back since she gave birth to her child. I think that's also the problem at this point in time. But I think there's still time for Naomi Osaka to see how she can breeze up. We understand giving birth and coming back. When you take a look at it, it has not always been easy for tennis players. So you have to take a lot of time to see how you can find back your form. And I think that's the issue at this point in time with Naomi Osaka. But for me, it was a disappointing one. Seeing a lady who has won the US Open. She has won the US Open twice. She was former world number 1. And you could see her being also that at this point in time is not a kind of performance you expect on a very good day from Naomi Osaka. Naomi
Osaka, 4-time Grand Slam winner, twice at the US Open in Flushing Meadows, where she lost straight sets to Karolina Muchikova. And this is really shocking because 6-3, 7-6, straight set loss for former world champion doesn't come easy. Like you mentioned, they're world number 1 at the stage, but now ranked number 88 in the world tennis. We hope that she will be able to get through. You remember her missing the last time around because of giving birth. She was away for some time. Remember a celebrated case of mental health as well. She was able to go past that one. So let's hope that she will, the same way she found time to have this baby and come back strong, she will get better on the court. But second round loss to lowly ranked Karolina Muchikova is not one we expect at this time. So I hope this could get better in the days ahead. But last Grand Slam of the year, she still have maybe 1 or 2 WT events before the end of the year, then set for next year. It's not looking very rosy for big-time players in the female category at the ongoing US Open. Kingsley, former Wimbledon champion Ena Shibahara withdrew from a second-round match against France Jessica Pochet because of injury. It looks like injury seems to be having its way, especially with the females. We have the same thing when world number 1, Iga Swiatek, was on the court too. What has injury got to do with it at the US Open?
I think for me, yes, it's part of the game. That's what it is. It's really part of the game, and it's left for these players to see how, of course, to see how they can manage it, or see if they can't, they have to withdraw, because you don't have to, of course, put yourself in a very tight situation. And during the injury, and it's getting worse, it might probably hinder you in performing in the next tournament. I think that's what some of them, of course, are trying to, avoid at this point. But so sad for Ena Shibahara, at this point, seeing how she can be, seeing how she can be able to, put up a, career, and talking about her performance this season, and then sustaining injury at this point in time. For me, I think
it's not only herself. We saw Karolina Pliskova as well injured in a match.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's really part of the game, and we hope that we don't see more of these players, of course, sustaining injury at this point in time. The US Open is a very crucial tournament, and last Grand Slam of the year, everyone wants to make a mark. And at this point in time, if you're injury, of course, if you're having injury, it's not really, the best at this point in time. But it is what it is. We just hope that we don't see players, of course, getting injured going forward.
Well, we have injuries to the top players. One top player in the female category, Iga Swiatek, continues to power strong. She was a straight set win of 6-love, 6-1 against our opponent, Ena Shibahara.
Yes, impressive one. And she did that in a very impressive fashion. In the space of 65 minutes, she was able to get that done. That showed class. It shows her prowess, of being world #1. And for me, I think it's a good one for Iga Swiatek. We hope, of course, she continue with this impressive fashion. If you take a look at it, it's like the road is gradually getting clear for her. Because we understand that the likes of Emma Raducanu, though she has not been in the best of form, she has been ousted out in the first round of the competition. The likes of Elena Rybakina also been ousted out. Naomi Osaka being ousted out of the competition. But the likes of Aryna Sabalenka, you talk about Jessica Pegula, they are still there.
Pegula beat Sofia Kenin. That was a big match, I must say.
Yeah, a very big encounter. And we hope that she continues as well with this form. Because when it matters most, you always see her not giving her best. So we just hope that she'll be able to continue with this level of performance going forward. Not just continue, but she should try her most kind of course to improve in terms of her performance as well. So I think it's a little bit it's getting very much intense at this point in time. We just hope that likes of Iga Swiatek will continue. Aryna Sabalenka not also left out of the picture when it has to do with who will win this time around. So we'll all look forward to see how the female category, of course, will go down there.
The biggest shock ongoing at the US Open is that the world #3 has crashed out in the second round. Talking about Carlos Alcaraz, the man from Spain, is no longer part of this year's US Open. He lost in straight sets. A straight set who lost to a relatively unknown Dutch opponent, Kingsley. This is shocking. Schwab from Holland beat Carlos Alcaraz in straight set. What could have happened in this one? Again, we're seeing one of the best tennis players right now losing in the second round at the US Open. He started to be one of the expected winners of this year's US Open.
Yeah, for me, Mr. Sue, is really, really a surprising one. Seeing Alcaraz, of course, being ousted out in the second round of the US Open. I think this is his worst performance in the last 2 weeks. We've seen. Talking about the last 2 weeks is he got to the finals of the Olympics and couldn't get that one, beaten by Novak Djokovic. Came down to the Cincinnati Open where he was taken out by Guy Monfils, and now being ousted out in the second round. The worst performance, of course, you would say, from Carlos Alcaraz. And this is a player that is ranked 74, beating a player that is ranked 74, beating world #3. For me, it's not something, of course, we can comprehend at this point in time. But I think for me, Carlos Alcaraz has not been in the right frame of mind.
He lost 6-1, 7-5, 6-4. All three sets.
That's what I said. It's the worst performance we've seen from Carlos Alcaraz so far. He has not been in the right frame of mind since he lost he lost to Novak Djokovic, of course, in the Olympic game. When he came down to the Cincinnati Open, we saw him against Guy Monfils. He was beaten, and he was so frustrated that he even had to smash his racket. The first time Carlos Alcaraz had to smash, his racket, and that should tell you how painful that was, for the man. I think he has not really recovered from those setbacks, and I think that's why, of course, this comeback. How is it possible? We understand upsets are bound to happen, but a player like Carlos Alcaraz, who is on a very good form, who is of course on that verge of probably.
He's won 2 Grand Slam this year. He's won the French Open and sorry, the Wimbledon and
the French Open too.
The French Open, right?
Yes, he won the French Open.
Yeah, the French Open, yes.
So for me, I think the man has not really recovered from those setbacks at the Cincinnati and the Olympics. That's what is his problem at this point.
A lot of people, he seems to, well, he's saying it's not an excuse, but that the schedule for this year is what looks like difficult, not giving. He's not at the US Open with fully recovered from hectic schedule of the Olympic Games where he played up till the final. He lost in the final to Djokovic and won silver. Before then, it was in June, he won the French Open. In July, he won the Wimbledon. He played in the, I think in the Australian Open. So it's been a tight calendar for him. But he says it's not an excuse why he lost.
Of course, not an excuse. I love this mentality. I love that, from him saying it's not an excuse. Definitely not an excuse. We understand that tight schedule definitely fatigued my setting. I'm talking about the Olympics as well. He also participated in the doubles with Rafael Nadal, and after that he was also competing in the singles, where he went down to the finals and lost to Novak Djokovic. After then, he has to come back to the Cincinnati as well. Yes, all of that can bring fatigue, but I love the fact that he's saying that that is not really an excuse, that he's supposed to, of course, to have proven himself, not losing. Even that's why I'm saying, even though we have a very tight schedule, or he has a very tight schedule, saying it's not a reason why he should lose to world number 74. A world number 3 player loses to world number 74. Upsets are bound to happen, but not in this case at this point.
Carlos Alcaraz right now getting it very on the wrong side of history, because right now he's the first of the top 3 seeds to lose within the first 2 rounds of the U.S. Open way back in, we saw that was in 2006. Yes, that's over 20 years ago. We saw a player who was ranked number 2 lose in the second round. Someone who started as even favorite to winning this one as well. But I'm sure he will definitely go back with his coach Ferrero to assess what really happened. If it's fatigue, then maybe you have to select events and that's in. Then remember they're still in there, Kingsley.
Yeah, Medvedev, one player I was looking forward to see what he can be able to do this time. But for me, I think Alcaraz being ousted out from the competition give Medvedev that edge of trying to see if he can compete with the likes of Jannik Sinner, Novak Djokovic, and the rest of the players. He's one player that, of course, everyone expects to be in that rank.
He won the best race as well.
Yeah, impressive performance, of course, you will say. But
6-2, 6-3, 7-6.
Yeah, we expect him to be in that rank of the likes of Jannik Sinner, Alcaraz, and Djokovic. But the man has not really lived up to expectation. He was actually tagged the next gen, but I think he's getting past that particular category at this point in time, and he's not that. He's not getting to that. He cannot be categorized as that top player that in every tournament you're expecting, of course, to win a Grand Slam. But I think the Ulster of Alcaraz should give him that edge of seeing how to compete for the title. Novak
Djokovic is still in.
Yeah, Djokovic taking it one game at a time, and as for me, I think that is what, of course, he needed at this point in time. A lot, of course, at stake for the man. Looking forward to improve his ranking, getting back his world number 1 status. And the most important one, which is the 25th Grand Slam for himself, will mean a whole lot if he gets it this particular year, where he won the Golden Slam, of course, at the Olympic Games. So Djokovic has a lot, and I think for me, from what we're seeing him, from what he's doing at this point in time, taking it a game at a time, I think possibly if he keeps his game cool and definitely put up his A game, I tell you, he has a lot to grab.
In the next few hours, we'll see Alex Popyrin come up against world number 2, Novak Djokovic, any moment soon, and it promises to be thrilling. Alex Popyrin from Australia is trying to see whether he can stop Novak Djokovic from getting a Grand Slam number 25. We'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that this will come through in the next few hours. I think there's enough of tennis on the show. Let's quickly now go to football. And Kingsley, it is getting very interesting. Tonight, it will be Rangers International up against Economic Warriors in opener of the 2024-2025 football season here in Nigeria.
Yeah, we'll see how that one will go, but I think that game comes out tomorrow.
Tomorrow, right?
Yes, 31st. Rangers International Economic Warriors will definitely see what, of course, they're going to put up this time around. Rangers won last time. They won the cup last season, and this time around they're coming back with another level, another, we should be looking forward to see another level of performance from them. For Economic Warriors, coming back from the Nigerian National League, get down to the CAF Confederation Cup, where being hosted out by DJFC of Benin Republic. I think they still have a lot to do if they want to stabilize themselves in the Nigerian Premier Football League this time around. They have to make sure they beef up their squad, because the performance we saw in the CAF Confederation Cup, I tell you, they really have to brace up, or else it might be not that rosy, of course, for them this time around. But for Rangers, I think they still have a lot in their bank, because Fidelis Ileshuku, the coach of the side, is also very much optimistic. The manager of the team, Amobi Azuko, is also very much optimistic. Even the players who saw the performance in the CAF Champions League, though they struggled against Comoros, the team from Comoros, talking about Zulemaju FC. But I think in the Nigerian Premier Football League, they know what it takes, to be able to play. So we'll look forward to a very impressive season and a very good opener between Rangers and Economy Warriors.
While on our program, Sports Extraordinary Weekend Edition, we'll take a focus on the Nigerian Premier League as gets underway for 2024-2025 football season. And talking about football here in Nigeria, let's go a bit national. Attention will be on the Gospel Aquabio Stadium on Monday because the Super Eagles of Nigeria and our new head coach, Labadia, will be in Uyo to resume camping ahead of the crucial tie coming up next weekend at the Gospel Aquabio Stadium, Uyo. 23 players have been invited. We understand there could be 3 more added to the list.
Yes, let us see how it goes. 23 players have been invited by the Nigeria Football Federation, and Labade, of course, has no choice than to work with these players because he was being appointed after these players, of course, might have been, after the NFF has invited these players. But I think if you take a look at the list, it's very much, formidable. I think we have the best legs down there in the attack. We have Victor Osimhen, though so many persons are not really pleased with his presence in the team this time around due to what happened against between him and Finidi George. Kelechi Iheanacho is there. Boniface, of course, is still there in the defense. We have a lot of strikers, and talk about midfield. We still have the very best, even in defense. So for me, I think, well, you take a look at the players on ground, they look very much, intact. And I think Bruno Labbadia, I just do not really have that much confidence that he will really, of course, put up his best, because in a situation where he has about just 1 week to train with the players, that is not enough time. Has he studied the players? How many of these players has he been watching, of course, in Europe? That's a big question. So I understand it's very good in terms of deploying the 4-3-3 formation, but he needs a lot of time to make sure that he integrates the philosophy into the players, into the team, and the players, of course, to perform based on what he wants. So let's just see what comes up for him this time.
Away from that, let's quickly inform you that the Super Falcons, the Falconets, have arrived Bogota, that's Colombia, where they will take part in this year's Under-20 World Female Championship. How good are the girls ahead of these fixtures that get underway in the next few days?
I think for me, they've been so fantastic when you take a look at how they've been training and some of the games, of course, they've engaged. You definitely give them that edge, of getting it right this time around. If you take a look at it, they've participated in every edition of these tournaments, and you see they have the experience. They've been proving a high level of dominance. And for me, I think this time around, we should be looking forward to see them, of course, coming up with a very impressive fashion. 3 players, from Edo Queens, who had impressive performance at the Waffle B Women CAF Champions League qualifiers, are in the team. So I think for me, it's also a good addition to the girls. It will give them more strength in trying to outclass their opponents.
The girls, Falconets of Nigeria, arrived Bogota with a very rich history of just in preparation. They played about 8 games, scored 27 goals, and that's top-level games. And so I think the girls are ready. Like Kingsley did allude there, they have been to every edition of the World Cup for Under-20 side. And when you talk about Under-20 football, definitely you have to remember the Falconets of in Nigeria. In the days ahead, they will face Venezuela. They will face, I think, the home side as well. The Germany in Bogota, where they just arrived a few hours ago. Let's quickly go to other issues around world football. Kingsley, UEFA Champions League is here for 2024-2025 season. It's expanded. Instead of 32 teams, we now have 36 teams divided into 8 groups, right?
Yeah.
Of 9 teams each.
Yeah, divided into, we have, yesterday we saw about 4 pots of the draws being made. And for this time around, it's going to look like a league format according to what we saw, where, of course, each of the team
They play 8 games.
They play 8 games. And then at the end of the day, the top 8 will get automatic qualification to the round of 16, while the team from the 9th to 24th position will have to play the playoff to see which of the 8 teams, of course, will be able to get to the round of 16. So it's going to be a little bit lengthy, and I tell you, it will bring that beauty. It will bring that the competition a bit more, and it's going to give the fans that opportunity of seeing top, games, being played this time around. But when you take a look at it as well on the other round, it's also a means of generating more revenues, of course, for UEFA, because more games, of course, will be played this time the fans, of course, will have to pay ticket fee and all of that. But Mr. Siri, the other way around, it's also going to boil down on the health of the players. A lot of
yeah, talking about the health of the players. For you to win this year's Champions League, you have to play, you know, a maximum of 17 matches. That's quite a lot on the health of the players. Some interesting fixtures in the draws. Kingsley, we've seen some of the draws. A lot of people are talking about the group where we find Arsenal. That's in Group H. Sorry, in the group where we have Arsenal, there is Inter Milan in that squad. There is Shakhtar Donetsk. There's Atalanta of Italy. There is Inter Milan I mentioned earlier to play Arsenal. Sporting Lisbon, FC Monaco, Girona of Spain as well is in the same group. Then in the group where we have Liverpool, there is Real Madrid there as well. There's RB Leipzig from Germany. There's Bayern Leverkusen, AC Milan, and Lille of France in that group as well. PSV, Bologna of Italy is there. And interesting fixtures. The draws have pitched very top sides against themselves. What do you make of it, Kingsley?
That's why I said, of course, the fans, it will actually favor the fans because they have that opportunity of seeing top games, you know, being played this time around. And I tell you, it will definitely improve the beauty and the level of competition of the UEFA Champions League this time around. For the British teams, I think it's going to be a little bit intense. Liverpool, Arsenal, you talk about Celtic as well, Manchester City, Aston Villa, who are coming back, you know, after a very long time, of course, to the UEFA Champions League. I think it will be a little bit tough this time around for teams. But the thing is that it might take away that, you know, fact that, you know, fans can easily predict, of course, who get to the round of 16, and that's the beauty of it. So seeing these teams being paired together in talking about top fixtures, I think the fans will be the one, of course, to really enjoy this particular UEFA Champions League format.
One man that was the center of attraction of the draws yesterday was Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo has been recognized as the player with the most goals in the history of the UEFA Champions League. He scored now 140 goals. Kingsley, the man was given recognition yesterday at the draws. He was part of the draws himself, then officially recognized as the player with the most goals in the history of UEFA Champions League. Right now, he plays his professional football in Saudi Arabia, but he says he's not ruling out return to Champions League football.
I don't know what he wants. The man is 39 years of age. He's not looking 39 at all. In fact, if you take a look at his energy level, he's still very strong and still scoring goals, especially in the Saudi League as well. He scored about, I think, 140 goals. He made about 183 appearances in the UEFA Champions League when he was in Europe. And for me, a very impressive performance, he would say. He scored a couple of goals, of course, in so many UEFA Champions League final. And that's why, of course, you know, UEFA actually gave him this particular recognition. For me, Cristiano Ronaldo is one man that has done a lot, you know, when it has to do with football in different competitions. And we really have to give it up to the man, despite the fact that at some points, football did not really favor him. But I think the man has done a lot. He's set so many records that, you know, it will take years. It will take years, I tell you. It will take dedication and tenacity for the players at the moment, you know, to break. Cristiano Ronaldo, I think he's a legend and truly a legend.
What does Cristiano Ronaldo want from European football? He's won this UEFA trophy, which is the highest you can play in UEFA football, 5 times. Yes, he won the ones with, I think, Manchester United, and he's won it 4 times with Real Madrid. One would think that he should be fulfilled, but he still thinks that he could return at some stage.
Of course, I tell you, the man is not tired. Don't forget, he said something the other day that he wants to play with his son one day. And for me, I think we should be looking forward to see if that will be a reality anytime, any day. He's still looking forward to playing the next World Cup come 2026, and we look forward to see what comes up. For me, if you take a look at it, Mr. Siri, it wasn't really his mind to leave Europe. I think the money from Saudi was really the point of attraction for Cristiano Ronaldo. And with other things, of course, that the Saudi, of course, promised him, and he has to go down to Saudi Arabia. And going down to Saudi Arabia, he was able to prove himself and putting up Saudi football to another level. See other big-name players going down to Saudi because of Cristiano Ronaldo. So he has that huge level of influence to see. But let's just see if he will come back to Europe anytime, any day, of course, to play in the UEFA Champions League.
Already, Cristiano Ronaldo for most goals in the UEFA Champions League history after scoring 140 goals. The man seems not tired. He's talking about coming to play with his son, like Christian Kingsley did allude there. But I know in basketball you have one man playing with his son, and maybe we can have that as well in football. That looks like much we can take on this edition of Sports Talk. Definitely we'll be back at 6 p.m. Nigerian time for Sports Extraordinary, when we'll take a detailed